Now we're in the upland forest where it's nice and dry, and we found an ant colony, and it's under this rock. I have my Wild Science ant catcher jar and my spoon. Now, the ants under this rock are rather small, but they're fine for a Wild Science kit, but they'll allow me to show you one method that we use to catch ants. Underneath this flat rock is an ant's nest. Now I'm going to show you one of the methods that we use to collect ants for the Wild Science kits. This is an ant catcher, this is a spoon. Maybe you can see there are ants running around carrying what look like eggs. Well, those are ant larvae. I disturbed this rock just a few minutes ago. Now I'm going to see how many we can catch. I take the lid off the ant catcher. This is going to happen with blinding speed. Are we ready? Go. I put in some soil. And I put in ants, a few more ants, maybe 15 or 20 worker ants. I'm going to put the lid on. And there we are. I put the rock down. The little bit of damage that I've caused, those workers will fix inside 2 days and they'll carry on as normal. I'm not looking for the queen. We'll tell you why later when we get back to the lab. Now I'm going to show you a second way of catching ants. Now the ants are in the nest over here, and you can see there are cleared areas around the ants' nest. This is what we call ant trails. I'm going to use this jar to make a trap. I'm going to dig a hole, very loose sandy soil here, which is what ants like, of course, and I'm going to bury the jar open in the soil. Doesn't have to be completely underneath. Build up the soil around the sides like this. Now this is not a pit trap where the animals slip in and can't get out just because they slipped in, because the sides are slippery. Ants can walk in and out of this, no trouble at all. What is going to put them in this trap is bait. We start with a cotton ball in the Wild Science kit. In here I have sugar and water mixed. A lovely syrup. All ants seem to love sugar water. I'm going to take a pipette in the Wild Science kit. Take 1.5 mils of sugar water, which is just the right volume. Put it on the cotton ball. The cotton ball is now full of a syrup. Now the ants will soon set out searching all around here to find out what's happened. They'll discover the sugar water. The first worker that discovers the sugar water will run back and tell the rest of the nest that there is a free feed down the trail. And in a few hours' time, or maybe by tomorrow, hundreds of ants, maybe hundreds of ants will be in this jar. All we have to do then is put the lid on and let them join their friends in the ant mine. Welcome to our Wild Science laboratory. Now I brought the ants up from the forest, and our ant mine is waiting here, ready to take its new residence. But first I'd like to show you how we made this ant mine. Now this is a little bowl of cooking oil. It can be olive oil, any sort of oil you want. You can even use margarine or butter. I'm dipping in my little piece of paper, and I'm going to grease the bottom of the pegs where the plaster will be. Just the bottom of the pegs, not the top. Now, the tops I can grip and twist and pull out, but the bottoms are greasy so the plaster does not stick to the tubes. Now I'll do the rest. Now I'm going to mix up the plaster of Paris. I've got 370 mils of water, and I'm slowly adding the plaster and mixing at the same time. This is why we have the mask. You can see the dust coming up. This is why we wear a mask while we're doing this. It's getting quite creamy already. Now, pouring in the plaster slowly so we don't get too many bubbles. Tap, tap, tap. That brings any bubbles to the surface. You can see it shaking. That makes a stronger plaster. And now we wait for at least 45 minutes, but I'm going to leave mine for a few hours. It's nice and hard now. I've left this for a few hours, but you must leave it for at least 45 minutes, and you can even leave it overnight if you like. I'm sitting it on a soft towel, and now I'm going to remove the tubes. Now the tubes have been oiled. I just twist them. I don't move them from side to side. I twist them to remove them. And the oil makes it nice and easy to remove. They're coming out nice and clean. That's because of the oil. There. Next comes the tricky part. We have to loosen the mould. You can hear it squeaking. It's moving away from the plaster. That part's done. Now, this is where it gets a little bit scary. Pick it up. I start to move the corners away. Feel it moving. Feel it moving in the corners. Still very damp. There. I'm going to let that dry for a while. Then we're going to paint it. Now, you can see that we've painted the plaster here. We've painted it as if it's in layers going through the earth. Now you can really see the chambers very clearly. Can you see these big chambers up the top? They represent the very top level of a very big leafcutter ant's nest. All of these little chambers down here are used for different purposes. Interestingly, the ones down the bottom here, the ants will use as their rubbish dumps. They'll even put dead bodies of ants in the driest positions down the bottom here. Very often they have pupae here, but the next level up they have larvae. And up the top here is where they go and find their food and water. Now, the first thing I need to do is to make a water chamber for them. I get a pipette, it's all in the booklet, and chop it with my scissors, and I put in most of a cotton ball, like that. Ants don't like free water. They can drown in free water, so we put the water inside the cotton wool. That fits into there. And next, we put the window on. Here's the window. The window goes on the front like so, and we have to attach it with the special double-ended rivets. Can you see the little black rivet there? I push it through. Another one from the back. They click together like so. And usually when I do this, I go to the other corner. Like so, I put another one there. I'm doing all of this on a towel because it's nice and soft. So it keeps the plaster from getting damaged. And now all I have to do is to go around the rest, adding rivets as I go and pushing them in from the back. And you can hear it clicking together, nice and fixed, and there it is. Now the ant mine is almost ready to take the ants, but we still have a little bit of preparation to do. Firstly, I need to put about 2 mils of water into the water container for the ants. There we go. Ants don't like free water because they can drown in it, so we put it inside the cotton ball. That's that bit. We could put the ant tunnel across the front here, but I won't right now. Instead, I'm going to put a small cotton ball at the top port. We're going to connect our ants to this port here. Now we also need to put some food in the ant mine for the ants. So I'm going to take a tiny little piece of each, like so. Just a small piece. And we're going to put it in the food chamber. There we go. You use your tweezers, we pick them up, and we put them in the food chamber. In goes the meat, in goes the apple, we'll just move it over to the side, in goes the cracker. It's just a little, and we can observe the ants and see which ones they like. There's a special stopper goes in here. There. And we have another special stopper to cover the water chamber, because we don't want the ants running up and running out of these special ports. And now we're ready to go and get the ants. Our ant mine is waiting here, ready to take its new residence. But before I put these ants into the ant mine, let's have a closer look and see what I've got here. Look at our beautiful ants here. They're all female. The big ones are soldiers, the small ones are workers, and they're what we call sterile. They're not able to lay eggs, they're not able to have babies, and they'll live about 90 days at the most. But if you look underneath, you can see those sausages. There are two sorts of sausage. The one that looks like a yellow bag, that's actually a pupa. That is almost ready to hatch out into another ant. And the white hook-shaped looking ones are larvae. They're kind of like maggots. They are really the young ants. If you can get those into your ant mine, fantastic. Because away from the queen, those larvae and pupae can quite likely change into queens and drones or males. That means you then have an ant mine that can actually keep living past the 90-day limit. And we've had our ant colonies lasting for 18 months or more, a year and a half, when the average ant lives 90 days, and we did not take the queen. Now we're going to put the ants onto the ant mine. Just make sure there's no ants on the cotton ball. Pull it off and plug there. And they will move in whenever they feel ready for it. They'll actually take their pupae and larvae in, and they'll even move their dirt inside this new colony because they like it to smell like home. There are wonderful chemicals in here that make the ants feel very happy to be at home. Now this ant mine has been under studio lights for a long time, so it's got very dry. I'm going to turn it around, and you will need to do this on hot summer days, or if you live in an air-conditioned apartment. You need water and a pipette. It's in your kit. The water isn't, the pipette is. And you squirt it in a zigzag pattern down the back of the colony. Can you see? The water just disappears straight into the colony, and I'm done 3 squirts like that. All done. Now the colony is nice and moist, which is how ants like it. So you might say, how do I know when it's getting too dry? Well, this is how you know. Up here, this is the water container that we filled earlier. When the ants all gather in this area, you know that the ant mine is too dry and it's time to squirt the back with water. Now there's one other thing I like to do with the ant mine. Up here, where we have the food, our ants are not up there yet, I like to make them feel more at home. Here I have a little dish of the same soil that comes from the same ant nest. I'm going to take a little spoon of that, and I'm going to put that in with the food. Spilled a little bit, that's not a problem. It's just to make them feel more at home. Put the little stopper in. When the ants come to get the food, they'll also carry this soil all around the nest, and they'll put it wherever they want. It makes them feel more at home. And now I'd like to show you another way of getting ants into your ant mine. Here are our ants. They're very big, very bouncy, very excited. This is the food chamber in the ant mine, but there's no food in it. We're going to take these ants and put them in the refrigerator to put them to sleep. Then we can put them back into the ant mine. So, off we go. Here we are at the fridge. I'm going to put the ants in the fridge. We'll leave them there until they've gone to sleep. So we've got to check every minute. We mustn't freeze them. As soon as they've gone to sleep, we take them out. Now, let's see. Yes, they're all asleep. Now, here we are, back from the fridge. They're still asleep. The next bit has to happen very quickly. So come and look. Here we go. Try not to breathe on them, it wakes them up. A few more, a few more, a few more. And there they are. They look as if they're dead, but they are not. I warm them up a little bit. Put the lid in, and then we just let them warm up and recover. Our ant mine is up and running beautifully. Now in the front here I have a tube. This tube comes in the kit. We use it to connect the ant mine to any one of the other Wild Science ecosystem kits, and you can see those at wildscience.net. Right here I have the booklet. It's full of fantastic experiments, including some recipes that you can cook for your ants. For instance, ant pudding, ant cake and ant salad. Now that's all from me. Thanks for joining me at the Wild Science Lab. See you next time.